Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christina, and I am an integration specialist here at RedTeam. Today, we will be covering the integration of RedTeam Go to QuickBooks Desktop. To set the stage of what we'll be covering, we're going to discuss what the integration does and what this integration looks like on an everyday setting. The RedTeam Go integration to desktop differs from the online as it is not cloud-based. RedTeam Go downloads the QWC file that connects RedTeam Go software to the QuickBooks Desktop. This file provides a unique file to each client and connects the RedTeam through a series of permission cards so that the transactions can push to QuickBooks. When connected, the benefit of this integration eliminates the double entry, and when we download this will be what it looks like. And as you can see, this has a dot here where it says yes whenever this QuickBooks file has opened. We do suggest that you have this line checked marked as yes, always allow, even if QuickBooks is not running. That being the case, if the web connector gets turned off, transactions will still flow to the web connector, but then will stack up there till you start the web connector again. Once the web connector file is downloaded, this is what it will look like, and you will see that you have your company name here, your auto run, and then it's every 2 minutes. You can change this to 1 minute if you choose to. Once this is connected, you are ready to start processing. The RedTeam Go transactions will push to QuickBooks Desktop once triggered by being approved or accepted, and those transactions run through this web connector to the desktop. And then again, this provides more efficiency, eliminates that double entry, but more importantly, minimizes the risk for errors. It is important to know that this web connector has to be running on the computer where the QuickBooks Desktop application is located, so that transactions continue push over and the web connector is running in the background. As another note, to complete this connection, you will need to be logged in as an administrator in single user mode in QuickBooks Desktop and administrator into RedTeam Go. We also advise that you schedule an integration call with myself or another implementation person so that the files are all set up properly and it flows over to QuickBooks Desktop as you would like to see. So once that QWC file has been downloaded and run, the web connector is ready to start connecting all your transactions. So we're going to go to RedTeam Go, and under the RedTeam Go, as you can see, we are on the main dashboard, and we have several different software integrations that we connect to, and we're going to choose QuickBooks Desktop integration. These will not show because you will only have your desktop. Once we log into this area, it will have the connect to the web connector here. But since we have already connected for this webinar, you will see transactions that we're pushing for our database so that we can show you items. But we are going to go to settings, and this is where a lot of the meat and potatoes is done. You will see that you can have additional entities set up. If you don't have an additional entity, this would not be checked. As you can see, these are default cost codes. Our programmers provide all of this for you and is part of the implementation process. Typically, these do not change. On the right side, we have notification of the recipients, and this will be when you want a certain individual to receive an email for change orders and that sort of items. You would just put a check mark here, and at that point, that person would receive an email when a change order is completed, an owner bill has been notarized, so that you are aware. Typically, accountants, the owner, are a part of this area. Once you have clicked whomever you want, then you can choose save. And once that is saved, then all of that will remain. You can go in and change that at any time. When we get to the Go Concierge options, this is another area where we do default certain items, but you can choose to change those. One of the things we do indicate that is something that most of our clients would like is activate integration by job. As you create a project inside RedTeam Go, you can choose whether to move that over to QuickBooks Desktop or not. And a lot of times this is used when you have a project that's about to finish and you don't want to move that into RedTeam Go on your initial implementation. So this is where you can choose each project that moves over. The next item, we typically have the construction budget defaulted. This is your owner buyout. This is the item, the budget, basically your bill, your contract with the owner. And so this is what we typically have defaulted. There is the option of using the owner estimate, and under the owner estimate, you can choose, you can move over to QuickBooks Desktop by cost code with a separate profit line, or you can choose with the itemized markups. So there are options here for what your company does and how you would like to see the owner estimate and the estimate move over to QuickBooks Desktop. Again, here we have negative expenses or vendor credits, and we have this defaulted so that when a PM may refund, or you have a vendor that has refunded you something that has been returned, such as some wood or some office supplies even, those sorts of things can be, will come in as a vendor credit to Desktop with this checked. If you do not have this checked, it will not come in as a vendor credit. On the field PO, we also default activate option to upload that field PO as a bill. This is for your project managers who are purchasing items out in the field, and they may be using our field lens or mobile app, and that mobile app will be able to have a picture taken of that receipt and it uploaded. They can, your PMs can also put that purchase inside the RedTeam Go via a computer in the office trailer or wherever they may need to go to put that in. And it will create a field PO that will come into QuickBooks Desktop as a bill. On the vendor contact, we typically do not utilize this. This is basically only when you want to have it not change the details of an existing company, like email, phone number, and address. You want to leave it the same in QuickBooks Desktop that you have there versus what is inside RedTeam Go. On the vendor contact name, though, we do default that when our RedTeam Go syncs with RedTeam with your desktop, that the contact name does not move over as the vendor name. The vendor name, say, RedTeam Construction, would be that it would go over as RedTeam Construction, not as RedTeam Construction, say, Christina. So then it would not have that Christina at RedTeam, and you would have 6 contacts as the vendor name. Under the owner bill, you would select, these are your options to choose based on what you would want to flow to QuickBooks and how you want that to flow over. So if you're doing an owner bill through the end of January, say January 31, and that's using the application date, that would go over to January month end and in that time frame as January 31st. But if you choose approve notary date and your application is through January 31, but it doesn't get approved till February 2nd or 3rd, then at that point it would flow into QuickBooks Desktop as a February 3rd date. And that may not be what you want, especially if you are on an accrual basis and you're trying to match your expenses with your revenues. So most clients typically use this application date, and that's why it's defaulted. Additionally, the same as with the sub-bill date option. If you want the bill date of a subcontractor being, say, January 28th, 29th, and they are billing you for work done in January, and you want that to match your owner revenue that you're going to be billing, you would use the bill date because it may not be approved or accepted until February, and then it would flow into the February with a February date. On the sub-bill memo, this is something you can choose based upon, you can choose nothing at all, or you can put an invoice, approval date, project application, or all of them on the check that you send out to a vendor. So your subcontractor receives your check and it has a memo line, but if it's blank, they may not know how to apply the funds. And for that reason, we have this option that you can choose what you would like on it. And as we know, even when sending out, say, an electric bill or whatever, we know that sometimes those check stubs get removed from the check. So it is an option that can be beneficial. So you choose what you want and click Save. So we are now down to the connection of your control accounts to your QuickBooks expense accounts and your revenue accounts. On this side, we are on the revenue. And on the left side, it typically is your revenue all the way down, because this is your revenue, your income from your owner bill that you're going to bill out. So as you can see, we have construction income. You may have revenue or contract earned revenue, something to that effect. But this would be revenue count. Your type is very important that it's all income on the left side, and you click Save. So for the right side, it's your expense account, and it's most 99% time cost of goods sold. So if you don't have an architect fee, you might have other costs or other job costs. As we know, some of what we've seen is that some of our clients don't have architect fee cost code or an engineering fee cost code, so they do put it to other construction costs or job costs. Most have a equipment cost or a material cost, and as you can see, we have created those in our database. And how you get those is just choosing the arrow down on both the income side and the expense side, that you would find that and then choose it. And of course, save at the bottom when you come and finish all of the lines. You can, if you don't have, say, an equipment cost and you put it to job costs, other job costs, and you choose, hey, I do want to track this, you can create that equipment cost in your general ledger, then come back in and change this to an equipment down the line. It will not change anything that has already moved over to desktop. It will begin as you use it to then move it to equipment rental cost line. We're now down to the payment methods. And inside QuickBooks, you have payment methods. You have your bank account, you have your accounts payable, you have credit cards possibly, Home Depot cards. So at that point, you would want to set those up inside QuickBooks. I mean, the QuickBooks pay method types inside RedTeam Go. And that's kind of part of your implementation as well. Once we manage those through expenses, there's a manage payment types, and that's also covered in implementation, that then you create this American Express. You come over, you choose your credit card that you set up, your payment method type, and then you come over into your QuickBooks general ledger accounts, and you would find your corporate credit card. Now, one of the things, if you have a Home Depot or an American Express or Visa, whatever it may be, that has several cards on it, maybe your project managers have Home Depot and there's 4 of them out there, and you have Jim with 1, 2, 3, 4 and Bob with 5, 6, 7, 8. You can set those 2 payment types, Home Depot 1, 2, 3, 4, bill or whatever it is, and then Jim's, and indicate it's a credit card. But you only need 1 Home Depot credit card over here, and it would flow over into one and just be able to not only have the detail in RedTeam Go, but for reconciliation purposes inside QuickBooks Desktop. Be sure and click Save so that you know that you have all of them saved in here. And of course, you can go in, and if there's one on the fly that you need to set up that's new, you can go into QuickBooks Desktop. You can set it up. Click here where it says to refresh my account list, and then you can choose it here. But you'll have to go into expenses to ensure that you have set up that manage type, payment type here in RedTeam Go. The last little piece here that is also important, if you're using retainage and retaining that on your owner bill or on your subcontractor bills, then at that point, you will want a retainage receivable and a retainage payable, and set that up inside your general ledger in QuickBooks Desktop, assign it here, and then at that point, save. On their final bill and your final bill to the owner, you will then utilize that retainage code, and it will leave your balance sheet account. If you had a second entity, you would go through that same second steps so that you would have all of it set up, and then you would just have to ensure when you are logging in to your QuickBooks, you are in the correct entity when you're completing your transactions and entering invoices and bills. Now, one of the other things I wanted to show you while we're here is that you have show logs. And in here, yours will be empty when you first click on it. But as you enter transactions and invoices, then at that point, you will see, hey, I have a subcontractor bill. It's going to come over, hopefully successful, and on what day and when it was last updated. If it should fail, it does provide that something is missing. And so as this one indicates that a vendor is missing. Now the vendor, it even says, may have been deleted in RedTeam Go, or it could be inactivated. And what we have found, most of the time, something's been inactivated on either QuickBooks Desktop or inside RedTeam Go. So that would create this issue. So now that we have completed basically the settings, we're now going to go and look at a transaction from RedTeam Go for customer progress billing to to QuickBooks Desktop and see how it flows. And we're going to go to a project that I know that I have a progress billing. And just to help you see, I went to the dashboard, but basically I can click on my recent projects, or you can view all projects. I know that in my 1200 Atlas that there is a progress billing. I'm going to go to billing and to owner A. And here we see the very first one has been signed by the GC, the date it's been signed. There is retainage, and it was notarized on 1/6. That being the case, once that is signed and notarized, it will push over to QuickBooks Desktop. To take a look at this, we can see that we have all the items that have been billed. And if you wanted to look at it in an AIA type billing, I'm going to make this a little bigger for you. You can see that it has the contract sum and what has been billed and any change orders. And then you can see that it was $547,000 with $27,363 in retainage for a invoice to that owner for $519,906.84. If we were to go down through here, you can again see it's got the site work, the masonry, the steel. You can see the 547 and you can see the retainage line for $27,363. So as you can see, this helps you see all of everything that was on that billing. And now we're going to open up desktop. And inside desktop, you would go to your customers and the customer center. And as you can see, we have all of our customers listed right here. But I have already kind of maneuvered over to the 1200 Atlas. And once you see this here, you can see that it has brought over the estimate and it has brought in the invoice for progress billing, and it has brought it in with the 519. So it is taking out the retainage and pushing that to your balance sheet. You have your site work, masonry, your general conditions, everything here. So this is ready to be paid within the, well, actually you receive your money here on the owner side. So that is how you can see that that revenue progress billing from RedTeam Go has moved over to the QuickBooks desktop. So now I would like to show you a expense, a subcontract that has moved from RedTeam Go over to QuickBooks desktop. And one of the things I'm going to show you is first that once you enter several invoices and transactions, they will kind of look like this per each project. And I want to show you an expense from Home Depot that has not moved over to QuickBooks desktop yet. And so you can see that it says print. I can still edit this. I can actually delete this. It has not moved to QuickBooks desktop. And once this has been accepted, it then will move over to QuickBooks desktop. But I have one transaction that I have moved over under everything subcontractor. And we're going to choose all. And so this $550 for everything subcontractor, if we click here, we can see that I can only print and unaccept because it has moved over to QuickBooks desktop. Now, if I unaccept it here, you will have to remember to delete it in QuickBooks desktop because it does not pull back. And we will need for you then to do whatever you need to do, and then it will reflect that you can re-accept this, and then it will move back over. Now, if you wanted to see this, you have to print it, and it comes up in a PDF that you can see that it is a purchase order, date, purchase order number, invoice number. You can see the cost code title, and how much, who approved it, and who accepted it, and on what dates. So now if we were to go back to the desktop version, we will go to vendors, and inside the vendors, you can see that we can look at our purchase orders, our bills, bill payments, checks. And if you're utilizing desktop, you know all of this. But if we wanted to see, I have that I can filter. So I just did all bills and for the last fiscal year. And I know that I have this $550 everything subcontractor. If we open it up, which will take just a moment. It will show you that it's for the everything subcontractor, the date, the amount. It will provide the cost code title, the project that we had it on, and that this is now ready. And we do have a memo line. So we did show what that subcontractor number is. So then at that point, this one is ready to be paid. On the owner one, I did not show you, but that you can, on the owner billing, when it is paid, there is a place that you can mark it paid, the date, the amount, and the check number. So that does not come over for you. You have to manually enter this from the information you receive and the payment you receive. But inside RedTeam Go, this then provides that this has been paid. The same thing with your expenses. If we were to go back to expenses on the RedTeam Go, inside here, you will not see that it's been paid. So everything inside QuickBooks Desktop will reflect that it's been paid. And for the troubleshooting, I kind of touched on that you have this show logs under settings, but you also have this filter settings. And if you want to filter by just showing failed transactions and then hit apply, you'll have that. You can choose if I want to look for just a subcontract and sub change orders for a particular subcontractor, you can do that here as well. Inside the regular expenses, you can also choose that too, as well as your subcontract billing. And that sort of basically ends the webinar. I do want to point out that you have this red bubble that anytime you cannot figure out where something is completed, if you need to know what an error message means, our customer service team is here from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And so if you need anything, you can go here and click on this. It will provide you, an area where you can put in some of the information that they need to get you started. So then we also have a learning area that you can have videos. There's videos and different things to walk you through certain aspects of that. All kinds of things as far as the educational webinars. And so that ends our webinar for today. We hope this has been beneficial. Thank you for your time.